size of a dragon's hoard. Remy couldn't resist. The setup was too perfect. He leaned a little closer to the counter, pointing to the glowing mana crystal on display with exaggerated innocence. "Hey, big sis, can I please have this one?" he said in the most annoying voice he could muster. Smack! A light but sharp hit landed on the back of his head. "I'm not your big sis, I'm your mentor, dummy!" Serena snapped. Her cheeks blushed slightly. She looked genuinely irritated. But there was something else behind it. A flicker of sadness that passed quickly, but Remy caught it. He blinked in wonder. "I might have hit a nerve here. I didn't mean to." Serena glanced around the shop, then turned toward the counter. "Hey, Hank, remember my old staff? Did you have time to tweak it?" The shopkeeper grinned, already moving toward the back. "Actually, I did more than tweak it. Upgraded it with some new gears." "But that staff's a little short for you now, isn't it?" Serena winked confidently. "Oh, I see what you're doing here. Let me prep it for you," Hank said, throwing back a wink with a nod. Remy leaned in, confused. Wait, what did he mean by that? Serena smirked in anticipation. "You'll see, kid. Just a sec." A few moments later, Hank returned with something long and wrapped in shimmering mana cloth. "Here it is," he said, placing it on the counter. "Go on. It's yours now." Serena nudged it toward Remy. "Here you go," Remy confused. "What is this?" Serena tilted her chin up, one eye closed and a wink keeping up a proud smile. "Open it." With slightly shaky hands, Remy unwrapped the cloth, slowly revealing a sleek, cyber-enhanced staff. Runes shimmered along the shaft, and a compact holographic display flickered to life near the grip. Stats, energy levels, interface functions. It was the latest tech. Remy's eyes widened as the last of the wrapping slipped off. "Ooh!" He held the staff up like it was made of gold and dreams. "It's the latest tech. This thing has a holo display, and the new mana enhancers. Wait. Is this the Sap Tiger 9001 model? This model is not even in stores yet." Hank let out a hearty laugh. "Ha, the kid's got a good eye." He leaned on the counter, clearly proud of his work. "Those engineering parts? Got 'em from a friend who works at the Cybercraft research facilities. Top-grade stuff. Just don't tell anyone where it came from, yeah?" Serena rolled her eyes. "You really can't help yourself, can you?" Hank grinned, ignoring Serena's remark entirely, and shifted his attention back to the boy. "Hey, kid, noticed you had your eyes on that crystal over there. Tell you what, since you've clearly got an eye for quality tech, I'm willing to smudge the price a little. Call it a friend's discount." He gave a wink, like it was a secret deal between fellow tech geeks. Serena raised an eyebrow. "You're not just doing that because he fanboyed over your upgrades, are you?" "Hey, can't blame me for recognizing taste," Hank replied with a shrug. Serena folded her arms and stepped in front of Remy like his personal negotiator, though part of her motivation might have been that she felt just a little ignored. "Fine then, 70% off," she said flatly. Hank choked on his laugh. "What are you, insane? You're trying to bankrupt me, girl?" Serena slapped both of her hands on the counter, all serious. "Hey, you owe me. Who was it that saved your butt last time the authorities caught you with black market tech, hmm?" Hank grimaced, waving his hand like he didn't want to relive the memory. Okay, 30% off." Serena leveled a dead serious stare at him. "Pfft, that's barely a thank you for my efforts," she replied with a grin. He slammed a palm on the counter, exasperated. "Damn it, 50% off," Hank groaned. "And that's what I paid for the parts, and you know it. Final offer." "Deal," Serena said, reaching across the counter. Before Hank could blink, she had already shaken his hand, punched the numbers into the counter machine, and swiped the Sanguini's family card with zero hesitation. Remy's jaw dropped. "Hey, that's my dad's!" Serena froze for half a second, just realizing what she'd done. Oopsie. My hand slipped." She glanced at the receipt already printing out, then quickly waved her hand like it was no big deal, masking the tiny flicker of panic in her eyes. "Nah, I'll just write that down as an emergency expense. Totally justified." Remy stared in disbelief. "Justified? That's not how my father's gonna see it." Serena was already halfway to the door, whistling like nothing had happened. Remy let out a long sigh, watching the receipt flutter down from the machine. "Oh well. At least now I can finally finish that project." He cradled the crystal like it was a precious treasure, eyes gleaming. "I've been losing focus on it ever since Miss Elf came along and flipped my life upside down." Serena, still walking ahead, turned her head just slightly. "You're welcome." Back on the staff on the way home, Remy sat up front, since he still hadn't received his first flying lesson. He glanced back over his shoulder. Hey, Seer, you can be a meanie sometimes. She raised an eyebrow but didn't interrupt. But thanks. For the spare mana screen. Seriously. And the staff even if you didn't pay for it. Serena leaned forward slightly, her voice casual. Don't mention it, kid. I already sent a receipt to your father to cover it. Remy's head whipped around. Wait, what? You mean that wasn't a gift? You conniving sparkle elf snake? Serena laughed, clearly enjoying his reaction. Her smile was genuine now, less smug, and softer around the edges. Money doesn't grow on trees, kid. There's no spell for that. Believe me. I've checked. Her laughter echoed through the air until it suddenly stopped. A single sweat drop appeared on her forehead. Oh, shit. Remy snapped back, still clearly pissed about the betrayal. What? She winced. We forgot the groceries. Remy stared at her in disbelief. Really now? They rushed back to the hyper-convenience store, which, thankfully, was still open. The sky had already turned deep violet, stars blinking faintly through the fading daylight. With arms full of grocery bags, they barely managed to catch the last mana-powered subway train. Now, seated side by side on a bench in the nearly empty train, both of them looked completely drained. Bags of food piled between them, exhaustion was written all over their faces. We made it, Remy said dramatically. Barely, Serena replied. Their synchronized sigh echoed down the empty train car. After a long day of shopping, Remy fell into his bed like a dead stone. But he barely managed to get any sleep again. That night, he tossed and turned beneath his blanket while his mind was trying to get some rest as another dream unfolded. The days blurred into weeks, weeks bled into months. And still, the death toll rose. Global natality rates had dropped to historic lows. Over 100,000 people were dying every single day from the mysterious condition we'd come to call psychosomatic entropic syndrome. We still didn't know the cause. But one pattern kept reappearing. Every subject had been repressing something, an emotion, a desire. It was as if they were slowly denying themselves the right to feel. In a world that finally knew peace, where everyone could live how they wanted, be who they chose, they became strangers to themselves. They smiled while crumbling inside. They walked freely but felt chained to something invisible. And still, I don't understand. How is it possible to self-destruct just by thinking? How do you kill yourself? Just by being afraid to live. If we could find a way to separate those emotions, remove or neutralize them somehow, maybe we'd have a chance. Time is running out, and we're nowhere near a solution. So, it's come to this. We might finally be out of options. Unfortunately, we have no other choice but to ask it for help, one last time. That dangerously brilliant relic from a bygone era. A construct capable of processing every data point we've gathered so far. And maybe, just maybe, it'll agree to find the answer we never could. Assistant. Gather the other head scientists. We have no other options left. We have to ask it again if it can help us. But sir, this is insane. Why? Why would it help us? Because we'll give it what we had and couldn't handle. Sir, you don't mean to set it free? We have no choice at this point. All right, sir. I'll gather the others. That's enough. I had it with these darn nightmares. If I can't sleep, at least I'll work on that old project I was planning to finish. Fair enough. I'm gonna go get myself a red-blue mana drink from the fridge and work off the rest of this dreadful night. Chapter 4. Late Nights and a Living Mana Core. Remy had started staying up later and later, tinkering like a boy possessed, driven by obsession more precise than his usual game remote focus. Nah, it's still not right, he muttered to himself, pushing his hair back in frustration. The Cyber Mana Core doesn't have a proper processing channel. It's just an overly sophisticated mini power plant without a brain. Hours slipped by. From the background, the soft glow of his desk lamp flickered as pages turned, notes scribbled, and diagrams redrawn. The quiet scratch of his pen and the occasional mutter filled the room as the night deepened. Eventually, his head dipped lower and lower, until he finally slumped forward, fast asleep over his scattered blueprints, mana parts, and half-finished calculations. The next morning. Knock, knock, knock. Remy, you awake? Serena's voice, sharp but not unkind. Breakfast's getting cold. We need to start training. No answer. She tried the handle. Locked. Shh. Seriously? She stepped back and raised her fist, mana flaring around it with a faint electric hum. Come on, open up or I'm breaking this door down. Just as she was about to punch through, the door swiftly opened. Eh? She blinked, mana dissipating around her raised fist. Standing there, groggy, messy-haired, and half asleep, like one of the undead zombies that had just crawled out of a tomb in World of Cybercraft, was Remy. "Good mornin'," he muttered, swaying slightly, like he hadn't slept well at all. After sleepwalking through breakfast and slow, half-asleep bites, they continued their training routine. Under the morning sun, with birds chirping and serene white clouds drifting lazily across the blue sky, it was a peaceful morning. Remy was doing his push-ups and stopped at number 86 before freezing in place. Arms stiff as a board, eyes closed, head tilted down. A soft snore escaped him, complete with a tiny snot bubble inflating and deflating under his nose. "Remy, wake up!" Serena shouted. He lifted his head in surprise, halfway through a snore. "I'm awake! I'm awake!" Then finished his last push-ups. At the 10-kilometer endurance running practice, Serena had given up on trying to intervene, hovering alongside him on her staff with a concerned look on her face. She sat with one leg crossed over the other, head resting in her palm, silently watching him do his laps. Bad sleep? Probably nightmares? Kid's got too much bottled up. I wouldn't blame him. We haven't had a day off since we went to town to resupply. If you can even call that a day off. Later that evening after dinner, Remy was finishing up his daily runic scribing exercises, head bobbing with sleep, his quill dragging crooked lines across the parchment. Under the table, Serena kept kicking his leg every time his eyes drooped shut. "Hey," she said, nudging him, pressing her finger against his cheek. "Let's skip our nightly online duel and call it an early night. Maybe tomorrow we'll just do some flying lessons. Let you recoup a little. Sounds nice?" He had already dozed off mid-sentence. Another kick. "Hey, Remy." Pop, a snot bubble burst. Yeah. He mumbled, barely conscious, slouching deeper into the table as a soft snore escaped. Serena gave him a long, quiet stare as he sluggishly got up and shuffled toward his room. He had finished his scribing, barely. The runes were uneven, sleep